Hi, this is Nick Garner for Sports Talk for Kids, and I'm here with Notre Dame head football coach Brian Kelly. You see all the trophies back here for all the different rivalry games. What do those games mean to Notre Dame?
Well, we have so many rivals, so it's important that our guys understand the nature and the history. There's so much tradition and history at Notre Dame. What we try to do is illustrate each one of the games so we can talk a little bit about it with our guys. So each and every week we bring the trophies out, we show them to them, and it's something that our guys really enjoy and play for each and every week.
Being that there's so much tradition here at Notre Dame, how does that add any extra pressure to you or your team?
Well, I think there's a lot of pressure, but the guys know that coming in, and that's why they want to come to Notre Dame. They like the fact that each and every week the games are big. The stage is great, and again, I think that's why they want to come to Notre Dame. They like that spotlight being on them week after week.
This being your fourth season at Notre Dame, you've coached middle-of-the-pack teams and then last year's national championship team. What's the difference between a middle-of-the-pack team and a championship-caliber team?
Well, generally, it's just about how they play on Saturdays. The teams that we had here the first couple of years were developing into really good football teams. Remember now, the core of that football team last year were so-called middle-of-the-pack teams relative to wins and losses, but they did the right things. They worked hard off the field, and sometimes it's just a matter of the way the ball bounces for you. We won a lot of close games last year, and I think it's about developing habits. It's about doing the little things right all the time, and then carrying that into Saturdays. So I think as long as the work ethic is consistent week in and week out, you can expect success on Saturdays.
These past few years, your recruiting classes have been up near the top of the country. What's the key to a great recruiting class?
Getting the kids that fit into Notre Dame. I think you have to look at it more about what you see at Notre Dame as the important principles, not what others think about it. Sometimes we get too caught up in, what others think that you need for your class. We have our own opinions, and, sometimes they don't coincide with the national perception. So they got to fit in with our program. They've got to fit in with Notre Dame, and sometimes that's not necessarily a 5-star. It might be a 3-star. So, again, I think we've done a pretty good job of getting national recruits, but at the same time, we choose the kids that fit into Notre Dame.
You have a lot of young players who are playing this year. What about those young players drives you crazy and at the same time makes you beam with pride?
Well, I think any time you're talking about a young guy, he's making mistakes that are lack of focus, attention to detail, but they've got that energy, they've got that excitement that you love seeing, and it's easy to overlook that because they're going to get the experience. So it's always a mixed bag, but I enjoy coaching, and that's the fun part about it. You get to clean up those mistakes with those young guys.
Going back to the Newt Rockne days, Notre Dame coaches have a history of great halftime speeches or pregame speeches. When you're getting ready for a pregame speech, what are you trying to plan?
It just really depends on the moment. I try to get the pulse of the team in pregame, get a sense and feel for what is needed at the time. Sometimes it's not a lot. Sometimes it's just a matter of reminding about what they need to do to stay focused. Sometimes you have to get after them a little bit and remind them about why they're here and what they're playing for and the importance of wearing that jersey at Notre Dame. And then there's some nights where you just know they're ready to play. So I think it's just a matter of preparing for the moment and knowing what is right at that particular time.
How much of that do you plan for, and how much of it just comes from the heart in the heat of the moment?
I think most of it is from the heart and getting a feel, as I mentioned, for the moment. But I think you always have to be prepared with some standard things that really hit home. So I always have a few things that I'm always in my mind about what our team should hear. But I try to guide most of it on the moment and from the heart.
The SEC has dominated college football for the past 7 seasons. What's it going to take for a different team to take down that conference?
Well, I think it's just like anything else. I think you're going to see teams that now have, broken that barrier down already. Alabama's still at the top, but I think from a conference standpoint, you're seeing, Missouri now, move up there. You've got a number of other teams now have broken through. I think Florida State obviously has shown from the ACC that they can play with anybody. So I think it's just a matter of time, and it's cyclical. And I think you'll see other conferences begin to break through.
Notre Dame has always scheduled the military academies. What's that mean to the program, and what makes those games so special?
Well, the connection and the history that we have, and when I say the history, going back to, World War II, where, we relied heavily on, the Naval Academy to come here and train troops and help us keep our university, vibrant. We remember that relationship. So there's a long-standing tradition and history that goes more than just the football game itself. It's it's a history that goes back to the universities staying together and working through some very difficult times. So if we can, obviously keep that relationship, we're going to. It's 87 years now that we've played the Naval Academy, so we love that relationship.
Well, thank you for your time, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is Nick Garner for Sports Talk for Kids. Hey kids, let's talk sports.